Andy, my dude, have you heard of the magical website builder known as Squarespace?
Ugh, not another Squarespace ad. I feel like every podcast is sponsored by them.
Hey, don't knock it till you try it. Yes, okay, it is overhyped, but actually it lives up to the hype. Squarespace is like a website fairy godmother. With a click of a button, your site transforms into a beautiful masterpiece.
A website fairy godmother? That sounds interesting. What makes it so magical?
Well, for starters, those slick templates make anyone look like a professional web designer. Pick one, customize the colors and fonts to match your brand, and voila. Plus, the drag and drop fluid engine is so easy, your grandma could build a site on Squarespace.
Well, she did knit me a lovely scarf last Christmas. Maybe website design is next.
Exactly. And when you're ready to sell your Nana's handmade scarves online, Squarespace has built-in e-commerce. Add a store with one click. Get flexible payment options. Then watch those sales roll in. And when she wants to teach others her steezy scarf skills, Squarespace's new courses feature is just the ticket. Nana can set up her curriculum and enrollments and payments in a snap and become the next e-knitting influencer.
Oh, wow, you really sold me with the grandma angle. Sign me up for that free trial.
Just go to thenextreel.com/Squarespace and transform your site into a beautiful Squarespace masterpiece.
Well, thanks, Pete. Even though it's overhyped, Squarespace actually sounds perfect for Nana's site's needs. Appreciate the warning on the ads, though. I'll brace myself next time I listen to a podcast.
Anytime. Let me know if you need any help getting that site up and running. Andy, can you believe we've almost hit 700 episodes of The Next Reel?
I know, it's crazy. And with all the other episodes in our family of podcasts, we are well over 1,200 episodes of movie conversation. It's really pretty amazing that we've gotten to have these in-depth movie chats every week for over a decade now.
And we couldn't have done it without our loyal community of film fans. Their support over the years has meant so much.
For sure. That reminds me, we should give the merch store a shout out. Buying shirts from thenextreel.com/merch is a great way listeners can continue to support the show. Plus, they get to sport our great designs.
Absolutely. I think sometimes folks forget we have a variety of shirts, mugs, phone cases, and more available. In fact, a great place to start is with a shirt sporting the Next Reel's logo.
We also have that classic Fast Times Spicoli Surf School tee, or the weirdly popular Rusty's European Tour shirt.
The one from National Lampoon's European Vacation. Why is that so popular?
Search me, but we have sold a ridiculous number of those. I guess there are a lot of Rustys taking trips to Europe?
We're always adding new designs based on movies we've covered, like our brand new design for a streetcar named Desire, featuring a streetcar named Desire. So if you want to rep your love of TNR and films, head to thenextreel.com/merch.
Every purchase helps us continue to have these weekly in-depth conversations. So visit thenextreel.com/merch today.
And as always, thanks for listening and being a part of the Next Reel community. We've got lots more great movie chats coming your way. I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Andy Nelson.
Welcome to The Next Reel. When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
In just a matter of seconds, you're going to hear a classic episode of this show from back in the day when we called ourselves Movies We Like.
It took us a while to settle into the show's format, so you'll notice some differences as you listen to these episodes. For instance, it takes us a bit of time to actually get into the conversation about the movie. Things like that.
But we're still proud of the conversations about the movies themselves, and we think they're worth keeping in the library.
So enjoy these episodes from our back catalog. And you can become part of our Discord community, learn more about the show, and find out how you can become a supporting member at thenextreel.com.
So thank you, everybody, for downloading and listening to The Next Reel. We appreciate your time and attention, and we hope you enjoy the show. I just hadn't hit record in time.
Oh, I'll let you do it in the recording.
No, it's too late. Cosmically,
too late.
It's gone. Up your butt, Joe Boo.
Up your butt, Joe Boo. That's just the best.
I can't believe you did that to me.
I was so hoping that you were recording too.
I know it's close. Well, now I'm recording. We've kind of jumped into the joke. You're gonna have to do it again later.
Oh yeah, well, I'll do it as a sign off.
Oh God, that's such a great. So, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for. So we had to. We had told people last week. Well, first of all, who are you, and where can people find you this week?
This week, people can still find me at Rash Pixel.
Oh, that's always good. Rashpixel.tv, and just go click on show hosts. I'm just going to put a big picture of Andy Nelson right on the front of Rashpixel.tv. That's what we're going to do. It's just going to be your head. All the shows are going to link off of a different piece of your facial anatomy.
I bet people are going to love that. It's just going to eat it up.
There is no way that's not an improvement over what's up there now.
I know. We talk about all these wonderful links that people can click to.
Yeah, I don't. You know what I'm going to do?
Oh, if we should mention that again.
No, it's because of this. This is what I'm going to do. I actually have a notepad.
Because
I don't write anything down that we talk about. Sometimes I type it, like if we're talking. I'm not that good about keeping notes, so I'm going to do better.
Oh, there you go.
I'm going to be better.
Good laugh.
Just give me another chance. So let's. So you, Rashpixel.tv, you got to follow Andy on Twitter because he has gems. He just comes up with these gems.
Yep, once a week.
Got to jump in. Gems, I tell you.
My.
And you can also make sure you find us on the iTunes. It's a great. You know what? That's a great place to find us. If you just go to iTunes and search for us there, you can find movies we like and all of the Rashpixel.tv shows. Also on Stitcher, Smart Radio. You can download Stitcher on your favorite iOS device or Android device, or anything else that matters probably has Stitcher on it. And you can listen to all sorts of internet talk radio, and including us, all of our shows, which is really handy. And you can follow me at Pete Wright on the Twitter and Google Plus and Facebook. Definitely all sorts of great places to find us. What did you want to say?
Indeed.
What did you want to say? Did you want to say something? I felt like I was interrupting you a little bit.
Nope. If you were, I don't remember. It was probably really important and life-changing too, but
yeah,
alas.
Yeah.
So but anyway.
Well, we were going to talk about.
Let's have a confession.
We were going to talk about. I had a first world crisis.
Yes, it was
today, and so I wrote this text to Andy. It was morning, and I was excited about my morning. I was going to get up, and I was going to watch Bull Durham, which I haven't seen in a long time. The last time I saw it was on VHS cassette tape, which I used to own. I no longer have a VHS cassette player, let alone any of the movies, which I think I sold off in a fire sale 8 years ago to people I worked with. I just walked around with a big bin. I said, $1. I just gave for all my movies. And people actually bought my movies.
Isn't that great?
It was great.
There's always a market.
There's always a market. And so I don't have that movie anymore. And I assumed that, we are living in the future. I should be able to go to iTunes and rent it and watch it and be happy. But you know what? You can't do that. It's not available.
You know why that is?
Well, did you find out?
Because if we're living in the future, it's the present. Sorry. I was trying to be. I don't know if that was witty.
Did you just sacrifice? I feel like you just sacrificed a chicken to come up with that line. A whole chicken.
A live chicken.
A live chicken. So yes. I wrote Andy. I said, "Hey." So I tried. I went to iTunes. Not there. Netflix. I dare you to be able to stream it on Netflix. Amazon? No. I even called my local Best Buy. They didn't have it in stock. I was gonna go buy the movie again, and I couldn't do it. This is where the fates conspired against me. So it is back in my Netflix queue. So I texted Andy. I said, "Hey, call me when you get a sex." I'm in the middle of a first world crisis.
As it was a great text.
It was so there's
Call me
Andy
when
at
you
work
get a sex.
thinking that I've totally changed my worldview on him. And so we changed things around. And so this week instead, there's a movie that's much easier to get a hold of. And that movie is Major League. So we're going to talk a little bit about Major League this evening. I'm excited about it. This is why I didn't answer I didn't call you right away because I was still watching the movie. It's still funny after all these years.
It is a very funny movie. You know, it definitely feels like it's stuck in the 80s still. It's not one of those timeless sorts of movies. But that being said,
I have a theory on that.
Still has some gems.
We can talk about my theory in a minute.
Yes.
I totally have a theory on that.
Oh, I look forward to your theorizing.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about anything else that happened to you this week? Did you see any good trailers? Are you up to speed on the newest stuff?
You know,
did you see anything else?
The trailer that I watched that got me most excited this week was the latest trailer that Pixar released for Brave.
All right. Was this the long form trailer where she shoots all the arrows?
No, that was
that's a little older.
That was more of like a little mini scene of just
a
bit. But no, this was a full trailer that they came out with had a lot more of the story. You introduced her little triplet brothers, and you just get a sense as to kind of what this whole story is going to be about. And it was a really, really exciting trailer. So I'm quite looking forward to that.
I have not seen it yet.
Well, you should. And Pixar rarely lets me down with their films.
But see, no, we have it on the record. I could find the episode number where you say that you're not excited about this movie. And now Andy's changed his mind.
Well, here's the you're probably right. Here's why that is.
Flip-flopper?
No, I should have been a politician. Sign me up, Mitt. I could be his running mate.
Oh, no, Obama.
That's right.
By the way, did you see the slow jam the news thing? Obama slow jamming the news?
Did. It was great.
That's good humor, man. All right, go ahead. Tell your thing about Pixar.
Pixar's trailers generally suck. And it's a strange thing. And I'm not sure if they just don't know how to put a trailer together well or what. Now this latest trailer I think is quite good. So
there's another possibility, and that is that you're wrong.
I totally disagree with you.
That's the other. I'm just saying in terms of like if we were to fork this argument, one possibility is they don't know how to do it, and the other is you are wrong.
But that's just not likely at all. So I know I'm right.
It's all about conviction, baby.
There you go.
Okay. So you think this trailer is better, and so that's what we're sticking with this week.
Yes.
Right.
I'm very much looking forward to it, and I hope that it does deliver the goods. I mean, regardless, I mean, it's gorgeous. The animation for this film is just stunning. Now, hopefully, it will not beat out Tangled on our little list. I haven't looked at what the budget is for Brave are, but boy, I hope that it doesn't knock Tangled off that list. That's not a good list.
That's not the list you want.
That's right.
Yeah, I really hope so. I'll tell you, this is my problem with Pixar right now is that John Lasseter is, he's a full-on Imagineer now.
Yeah, he's really splitting all of his duties now.
He really is, and I'm teaching this class right now, and it's a marketing class, and the one of the teams is working on a project on Disney, and so I've been sort of ensconced in a lot of Disney material, and I they're releasing or they're launching a pretty vast update to California Adventure,
right,
with Cars World, right, where they're doing the whole town.
Oh, I know.
Radiator Springs. You're up to speed on this, right?
Oh, you betcha. You betcha.
So on YouTube, you can get a whole there's a a lot of material on this on YouTube. And one of the pieces is a backgrounder with it's a conversation on stage with John Lasseter and two of the other people from Disney Imagineering and Park Services and Development. And much of it is Lasseter talking, and it's all about it's about what he invests in terms of creating a thrill ride that is a story ride. And how excited he is about this new test track, and that they're doing this huge race through the gorge thing, and it's the biggest ride they've ever done. And so all that is out there, and you can go find it. That's fine. I found myself so, like, he was thrilled. You could tell he was so excited. And I found myself really moved to sadness for the, I miss seeing John Lasseter talk about his next, like, because you could really feel when Lasseter is talking about his movies, you feel like he comes at it with that same sense of, like, this is a living, breathing, furry thing that he has brought to life. And has, there just aren't very many filmmakers that cater to their own work that way. And he's a suit. He still wears his fancy Hawaiian shirts, but he's a suit.
Well, you're right. I mean, that sounds so depressing. When
it is, and I was depressed. That was the thing. I love it, and so now I should say, I love that now that sensibility is being applied to the park environment, which I think is going to be fascinating, and I really look forward to walking into this environment and seeing, sort of the next great evolution of this Disney themed area. But I found myself really missing the film touch. Go ahead. Now you can defend him.
Well, here's what I think is happening. One, Disney needed some magic brought back. He is just the man to do it. So they made a smart decision in courting him and bringing him back in. I think that was very smart on Disney's part. Two, there hasn't been a Walt Disney-like figure like behind the company for quite a while. Michael Eisner definitely had some magic, but he also was very corporate, and particularly toward the end of his reign.
Michael Eisner wanted to be a talk show host.
So did Walt Disney.
For kids. Walt Disney wanted to be, what's his name? Bozo the Clown, or Dudley, what's the other cowboy character. But Michael Eisner wanted to be Charlie Rose. Well, there's a very different thing.
He did look that part a little more, I suppose. But John Lasseter, I think, has that same sensibility where he's kind of taking on that Walt Disney role for the company, the man with the magic who's kind of has his hands in all the pots. Now, I think it's good for Disney. However, I think you're right. I don't think it's necessarily good for Pixar. And also, and this is, I guess, number 4, John Lasseter is so latched on to the Cars movies.
Yeah.
Like, he loves those movies so much, and I credit him for being so devoted to them and everything, but they are the worst 2 Pixar films made. And I know there are people who love them, probably mostly car racing fans, but I think they're just not that great, particularly the second one, which was abysmal.
The second one was tough to get through. That's the first one, but see, you're right on in one sense. I did not feel that sort of immediate inspiration for Cars. It's grown on me over time, and it's got a lot of heart, and the secondary characters are really cute, and
the final race is fantastic.
It's fantastic, but they didn't grab me like the Toy Story movies.
Yeah,
all of the Toy Story movies.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, so but see, all of that is, I don't think we've necessarily seen all of it play out as Pixar. Which really, who are we kidding? Pixar is Disney Studios now, as they sort of are infecting Disney over the course of this 5 to 7 year period. I don't think we've really seen the fruits of their labors.
Well,
John Carter is not a good example of what this new.
I was gonna say, I hope that's not a sign.
I really hope it's not. It's gonna be. We're gonna call that a transition, sort of the awkward stage. And I hope
that was the pimply teenage years.
It surely, please be the pimply teenage years. I think I think Brave is going to be fantastic. I think it's gonna. If I look at my kids as any indicator, they are over the moon for this movie. I mean, they could watch that trailer 1,000 times, and I think a big part of it is we have a human protagonist that is a young girl, and that's a pretty powerful.
Who's not a
message.
A princess? Well, she is a princess, but she's not like just frolicking in the tower, her nails or something.
I mean, we're getting that. That's really it. I mean, we're getting back to kind of let's see if we can raise the stakes and modernize the what has typically been a sort of diminished female character, and I think all signs point to something really inspiring.
Yeah.
All right.
I hope so.
I haven't. You know what? I'll tell you. I've been reading. God, it's terrible. I've been reading so much.
Shame on you.
I haven't seen any movies.
What are you thinking?
Do you know what it is? So I finished the fourth Game of Thrones book, the fourth of the Ice and Fire books.
You are plowing through those.
I know it's it's not even
those are big books to plow through.
Oh, thousands of thousands of pages. I feel like I'm fermenting. But what I actually finished too. This was my daughter made me get through all the books in the inheritance cycle. Are you up on that? Aragon and
sure.
Eldest and okay. So I find myself sad about that series. It's a 4-book series. I just finished Inheritance early this morning, and which is the 4th book. And I found myself really sad because you know what? That could have been something. It could have been a contender, Andy.
Yeah.
It really could have. They butchered the first book. And you know what happens when they take the first book and they butcher it, they can't quite get back into it. They can't, and the series ends up getting shelved. And it's really too bad because the movie, they ended up just cutting and pasting from the first two, elements from the first 2 books and ended up taking it so off track that it became a one movie series, and it could have been really special. I mean, it needed the whole Peter Jackson treatment. It really needed to be taken seriously as a sci-fi property, and it just was not as a fantasy property.
And I think that's the problem with a lot of those is they have a hard time figuring out how to translate it right. They don't have the budget.
Well, they don't have the people.
They're cramming for time. They don't get the people. Yeah, and it just I mean, I haven't seen what was the other one, the Lightning Thief.
Yeah, Percy Jackson. That's another
Thief.
One, which ends up being, I think, a 6 or 7 book series. Those books are hugely popular at my house. And I'll tell you, I've read the first 2 aloud, to my kids over the years, and they're very fun. They have great characters that kids can relate to, and they end up being properties that I think, have a really naturally translatable element to them and to the screen. And I think it's just, God, man, movies are expensive. I know that's true.
Yeah, it's not like a sitcom where you can have a rough first season and still do a second one.
And recover.
Although I guess this Percy Jackson, actually, they are making the sequel. So
are they? I've heard nothing about that. I need to look that up right this second.
I was a little surprised to hear, but maybe it did well overseas. I don't know.
Did well overseas. That's a curse. Anyway, so that's what that's what I finished, and so I now I feel like I can get back to some real serious movie watching.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's more like it. Like Bull Durham.
Sea of Monsters. Percy Jackson, The Sea of Monsters. Look at that. The son of Poseidon and his friends head to the Sea of Monsters. That is big news. And Nathan Fillion is in it. Are you kidding?
Well, I guess you can make a sequel better.
That is great.
And Percy Jackson, I'm looking at it right now. It cost $95 million. Domestically, it made 88 million. Didn't do very well. Internationally, though, it made 137.6 million.
That total gross, total global gross, or like worldwide gross?
That was international. And so total worldwide, 226.5 about.
Yeah, all right.
And then DVD domestically about not quite 38. So, it made money. It made money back. It just didn't, it probably didn't explode into a Harry Potter phenomenon. But obviously, it made enough to warrant the sequel.
Well, and that's a problem. Is that ended up being sort of, I think, the problem is that it was competing with the Harry Potter series, and the Harry Potter series is done, and I think there is a hole as a result. There is a void in a long series for that age group, which is an extremely, from a marketing perspective, an affluent age group.
Yeah.
So,
right.
All right. Let's. What do you want? Let's talk about this movie.
Let's talk about baseball. So,
there are two things that I love about this movie, right off the top of my head, and one of them, and both of them are new things that I just recognized today. First, Randy Newman does they put the title song of the film is that Randy Newman.
That's such a downer of a song.
Such a downer of a song. But we talked so much about Randy Newman last week. I thought, isn't it funny that we skip a decade and now we're doing this other movie, which is essentially a comedy that doesn't know it's a comedy all the time. And it opens with Randy Newman. I got so excited. He's like the musical voice of baseball.
Yeah, it was a great song, and actually it fits really well
perfectly
for the Indians. A team that had struggled for a very long time trying to win the World Series, and so it really fit in with that vibe. And we'll talk about that more later. But tell me the other standout.
Okay, the other standout is that in 2011, Charlie Sheen came out and said that he was doping for this movie. I thought that was awesome. That was another one I didn't know. And he says that he was on steroids for 2 months in order to improve his athletic game for this movie. It really shows, Charlie. Totally shows.
Are you making fun of Charlie?
They say at the time his fastball was 85 miles per hour, and that I hear is pretty fast.
He this is something I think that is going to warrant talking about for all of these baseball films. That not to get you off track or change the subject.
No, I was done. But I got nothing.
Okay, so I was not interrupting.
No.
Playing baseball is, it's a great. It requires athletic ability, especially if you're meant to look like you're playing for the majors.
Mm-hmm.
You really have to look like you know what you're doing. Now, acting, there are a lot of things that actors can do to look like they know something, they're doing something. Actors can look like a million different things, and we totally buy into it.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing you can't fake is actual athletic ability that actually makes it look like you really are doing something that a professional does.
That is so true. And that you're absolutely right. And I think, when you look at guys, I think in that respect, okay, the obvious one for me in this movie is Wesley Snipes, right? That dude, he's very obviously a physical guy. He has an athletic background. He looks, when he runs up when they're doing sprints in the very beginning, and he runs in his pajamas barefoot. I mean, he might as well be running from a lion. Like, he looks so strong.
That would be great to see a lion behind that. I have a story about that may spoil that one for you.
Oh no!
But you're right though. He looks like he knows.
He looks good, and he's totally believable. The other one that sort of counter to that really surprised me is Corbin Burnson.
Yeah.
Because that guy ends up, he's a guy who ends up making a really dramatic improvement over the course of this movie in his just, physical ability. He first is terrified of the ball. He won't get hit by the ball. He then spends, we then have the duration of a whole, montage where he is just pummeled by balls.
Right.
And ends up making making the appearance of some very strong plays toward the end of the game, and that improvement, I think really highlights your point that these guys are, especially guys like Corbin Burnson, who I never took very seriously.
Well, Corbin Burnson actually knows how to play ball pretty well, and I think he played for the Hollywood All-Stars, actually.
Yeah.
Which actually even speaks more to the point that when you know how to play baseball, it's almost harder
to look bad.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's fantastic. Like Wesley Snipes, when he had to keep hitting those pop-ups, time after time after time, that's really a difficult thing to do, to be able to hit it so specifically, one after the other.
And that Tom Berenger has bad knees. Totally believed that.
Oh, you. But going back to Charlie Sheen, pitching, he really had to know how to pitch. He had to look like he could pitch in the majors, and he does. And he was throwing in the low to mid 80s, which is great. Now, a little trick that I learned that they would use to make it look like he was throwing even faster is they would move the home plate up like about 10 feet toward him, and they would shoot behind the catcher and the hitter. And when he would throw the ball, and whether they hit it or caught it, just the fact that the base is 10 feet farther forward, it actually makes it look like it's getting to home plate that much faster. And so it looks like he's throwing high 90s to 100 miles per hour.
That's fantastic. I did not know that. I did not. That's a great trick. I'd be interested to know if they pulled any of that with Robert Redford.
Right.
So the other one I think we should at least call out in that same respect is Chelsea Ross, who is the other pitcher, was significantly older than Charlie Sheen, and was the seasoned right-hander, and he just. I just thought physically he nailed it. He looked like he hurt, but still had just really, believable form.
Yeah.
To a guy who knows not a thing about what is good form. I totally believed it.
No, he did great.
He did great.
They all really did a good job. Dennis Haysbert. I mean, yeah, they're all fantastic. Well, and here's the thing: when you are a fan of baseball and you play baseball, and actually Charlie Sheen did play baseball when he was younger, so I mean he already knew how to pitch and everything. So, but all of these people, if you're a fan and you really are into it, you're able to really kind of get into the vibe and really kind of make it happen and make it look believable. Now, they can use some camera tricks here and there to kind of cheat it, but if you have the talent to do it, you have so much better chance of making a good baseball film. Mm-hmm. And I think David S. Ward, who wrote and directed this, who's always been a huge fan of Cleveland since he grew up in Cleveland, he knew that, and he knew going into making this that he had to cast with people who really knew how to play, so that they looked like they were doing right, even if they threw funny or whatever. And he knew if he cast people who were baseball fans and had played baseball or understood it or could really kind of make themselves look believable, then he would make a film that people would buy into.
Yes. I think we should talk more about David Ward, because I I like, this movie. It's on the list, right? I like this movie. I have a soft spot in my heart for this movie, right?
Sure.
But I hadn't taken it terribly seriously. And when you said, "Oh, we should include this movie in our baseball series," I thought, well, okay, I like that movie. Major League was good. It's kind of good, but you know what? It's not as goofy as I remember it. It's actually far better, and I think a lot of that comes from the just straight up talent in David Ward and what he brings to the script. So David Ward, boy, I had not made this connection at all until I started looking into it. This guy wrote The Sting and the adaptation of Cannery Row and Sting 2 and Milagro Beanfield War before he got to Major League. And since then, King Ralph, Sleepless in Seattle, Major League 2, Major League Back to the Minor. He loves the Major League stuff.
It's his series.
It's his series, but Fly Boys, on top of directing both Major League, but the program Major League 2. I mean, he's directed, but his, the writing that he did from the 70s to the early 90s was really top notch. I mean, great.
Yeah.
Some really great work, and I think that bringing that sort of skill to a comedy like this brings it sort of elevates it to something different.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's somebody who understands telling a story and creating characters that have more to them. And there's a lot of really interesting characters in this, and it's not a perfect film, but it's done in such a way where it just has this heart to it.
So to expand on why you think this is an important movie for us to talk about in the baseball series. Why did you want this on the list?
Well, it's David S. Ward. I really enjoy his films. Mostly it's this and The Sting. Those are the two that I really like, and Sleepless in Seattle. Mm-hmm. I have a soft spot in my heart for this one since like I said, my great uncle played for the team.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a fun movie. This is a movie that reminds me of my youth, going back and watching these fun movies.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain movies that always stick with you from your youth, and it takes you back there. And this is one of those movies. It's just, like I said when we started, it does have it's kind of stuck in the 80s a little bit. But it's just such a fun film. And there's just so many little things and little details and just fun little moments that every time I watch it, I still find myself laughing out loud, and it's a fun film. It's not a film that, is The Natural or All the President's Men or, something with, big importance, but it's fun. And that's what I love about it.
On that point, and one of the things that sticks out to me, and just back to the economy, or back to the structure of the script, and it's really an efficiency, I think, more than anything else, is David Ward's economy of comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, when you look at some more of the, there's this whole series of the, I don't know, I sort of characterize them as the Sean William Scott comedies.
Right.
Right. And you see that there is a lack of economy where the jokes go on too long, or the punchlines come too late, or I wonder if there's I was looking earlier for somebody who has sort of tabulated how many jokes per movie in this style of movies, right, in the genre. Because I think the jokes per movie has gone down over the years, because the jokes are more pained and take longer to get out. And when you look at this movie, that is part of the real artistry of this movie, because you get these one-liners that have you laughing, minutes after they're delivered, well after, 3, 4, 5 more jokes have hit, particularly in these early games and the early montage sort of elements when Bob Uecker is doing the color commentary. And, that guy, he's just too good.
The uke.
It's really good. So you look at all these jokes; they're one-liners. They are written with efficiency in mind. Sort of get in, get out. Let the actor do what the actor needs to do. Don't pain us over it, and just move on. And I think as a result, you end up with a movie that is comedically paced really, really well.
Yeah. And it keeps it going all the way through. It's just this steady pace. You're right. I mean, that's exactly what it is.
Let's see. You know what? The other thing that surprised me is that I think when you look at this movie in terms of staying power is just the number of one-liners that I had forgotten were associated with this movie. This movie did create a lot of baseball one-liners that still get used on SportsCenter. I mean, that are just infused in the American culture now. It's amazing how this film created so much of that. And you know what else is interesting that I didn't know is this film, with Charlie Sheen's character, Ricky, Wild Thing. That character, when like at the end of the film, when he walks out and the whole stadium just erupts in singing X's Wild Thing, and they're just jamming out to it, and as he walks out to the mound, that was really the first time that people did this sort of thing for like when somebody new was coming out onto the field or whatever. And since then, like all these players now have songs associated with them. So when they come out, the whole crowd erupts into a song and all that stuff. This movie created that phenomenon. So it's interesting how this film has created so many things that are infused in American and in baseball culture. Absolutely. And who knew? I wonder. Yeah, I mean, you say it's it's sort of infused in the culture. I think by definition, we forget to attribute once it's cultural. Yeah. But this movie spawns sort of a great lineage, athletic and comedic. I had somebody the other day do the knee arm crossing thing to me. When they're all sitting in the thing. Oh, that right. And the whole team crosses their knees the other way. Nice. And nice. It was like unreal context shock. That's so like I knew it. I knew where it was from, but I had no idea. And I knew exactly how to do it. Right? That I just couldn't tell you what it was from. But you're right. That's what happens is all of a sudden it's just part of the culture and you don't attribute it to anything anymore because it's just there. It's something people do, Like the wave. I mean, where did that start? Exactly. I want to pinpoint when the wave started. Well, especially when the Indian fans are looking at each other and he says, "Hey, Ricky, we should maybe try that wave thingy." Yeah. That's perfect. And then two of them do it. That's great. Oh, man. Haywood leads the league in most offensive categories, including nose hair. And this guy sneezes, he looks like a party favor. Oh, man. Yeah. Good old Bob Uecker. You trying to say Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball? Up your butt, Jobu. That obviously is not the best Jobu line, but there's a lot of great lines. Oh, well, so that is my favorite Jobu line. It just makes me laugh. The way that he delivers it is so too funny. Good. Oh, man. So this movie ended up making some money. It did okay. It didn't blow anyone out of the water. I mean, it cost $11 million. It made domestically not quite $50 million. So it made its money back. It obviously was enough to spur on 2 sequels and to create its own little franchise. So, I think for all intents and purposes, it was a good investment for them to make. So it was, according to the studios, better than Joe versus the Volcano. So it's one of those movies that just kind of naturally fits in the gestalt of 80s comedies, but it does so in a way that is that I think is more elegant. And I I should have been watching this movie more over the last several years. There's a lot of humor in here, and I'm glad to bring it back.
There's a lot of good stuff, and it's nice to see people like Dennis Haysbert in it. I think this was one of his first bigger roles, and it was so great seeing him. And I had so completely forgotten that he was in this.
Totally
and then
forgotten.
I saw him like, it's President David Palmer.
Yeah, totally. Well, so that's a really good point. When you look at the cast list on this thing, I mean, unreal. The people who hadn't quite gotten started that were in this movie. I mean, even Wesley Snipes at that point.
Yeah, I think it was only like his second film or so.
I wasn't always betting on black at this point. That didn't come till later.
And I gotta say, Wesley Snipes is great in comedy.
Yes,
and he hasn't done. I mean, he definitely has comedies that he's done,
but then he found his kung fu jitsu.
Yeah,
I'm passenger 44, and things just
and solving murders at 1600.
Yeah, it's just not the same. He's got great timing, and his eyes. He's got this just. It's this weird. He's got the Rodney Dangerfield eyes a little bit. He can pull off that kind of crazed, surprised look that is perfect for these movies.
Yeah.
So Dennis Haysbert, Rene Russo.
That was, I really kind of totally forgot that she was the love interest in this.
Yeah.
For some reason, I think I had completely not ever noticed her until Lethal Weapon 3, which probably, I think it was 2 or 3 years after this. And that was the first time that she probably got a lot of notice because as I recall at the time, it was really an interesting role because she was like just as aggressive as Mel Gibson's character. They were doing that little scar comparison thing and everything. So she really stood out in Lethal Weapon 3.
Yeah.
And then she kind of, kept things going after that. But Major League, I think, was one of her first breakout things. And it was a nice surprise. And is it me, or does she look like Drew Barrymore's sister or something?
Yeah, she does.
I mean, it's uncanny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Major League was her first film.
And what's happened to her?
Well, she was in Thor.
I know.
So I say again, what's happened to her?
But who was she in Thor? Who's Frigga?
Frigga.
Was that I don't even know who that is.
She's like I don't know, a few characters off from
was she
something
Odin's
derogatory?
Wife? Was she Odin's wife? Is that who that was?
I'm gonna say yes.
Okay,
that
say
she
yes. You know what? I think it all started going downhill for her when she did The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle.
That was a poor choice.
Yeah, I don't think it was wise.
Yes, she's the queen of Asgard, wife to Odin, stepmother to Thor, biological mother to Balder, and foster mother to Loki.
Wow.
I just pulled that out.
Thanks.
Yeah. Frigga.
Oh.
So that was hers. Let's see. So Tom Berenger.
Yeah, and this, as I'll just keep throwing things in there, but I forgot how much I enjoyed Tom Berenger. And I have not seen him since, he's kind of been popping up like in some of the, like he was in
Lifetime Entertainment movies, you mean?
And Inception. Well, no, I'm saying he's popped up in a few.
In Inception.
Inception. He was in Inception.
That's what I said. Yeah, no,
yeah,
I was like violently agreeing with you.
Christopher Nolan is kind of, some of these new directors attach themselves to old stars who we all used to love, and they're like bringing them back in one way or another. And I love seeing that because I really enjoyed him when I was younger. Some of his films from the 80s and 90s, and then I think he kind of.
Well, let me ask you this: did you know, for example, that there was a Sniper 2 and a Sniper 3?
Boy, I had no idea.
No,
he sure kept those coming, didn't he?
And that was a full sort of those two movies came out back to back for him, a full 20 movies after Sniper 1. What happened there, Tom Berenger? Yeah. Wow. A whole lot of stuff. Shadow of Doubt? No idea.
That was, I don't know.
Training Day. That was something, right?
Yeah. Gingerbread Man. I mean, that was
Denzel.
Robert Altman.
Yeah, so he's had
Robert
his thing,
Altman,
but it was nothing.
Movie.
Nothing was. He really didn't have another big chill. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Platoon. Come on.
Yeah, Born on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
All right, I'll give that to you.
Major League.
What Major League? There you go. And so back to Major League. Charlie Sheen. Wow, he's come a long way. Margaret Whitten as the. We haven't talked at all about the plot. I feel like this is one of those episodes your wife's going to get mad at us about. We haven't talked about the plot. So the plot of the movie is this: the fictitious. We have to say this out loud now. This is not about the real Cleveland Indians. And so this fictionalized version of the Cleveland Indians is on a losing streak. The owner dies or divorces. I think dies, right? Dies, and the widow, Rachel Phelps, played by the devious
Margaret
Whitten, decides that she's going to try and execute the escape clause in the contract to move the team to Florida out of Cleveland. And in order to do that, they have to drop attendance to the games to the point that'll trigger that escape clause, so that it's no longer worth having the team there. And then she can get rid of the team and bring in better players and have a new team in Florida. So that's the premise. There is a really interesting bit of background on the end of this movie and her character in particular.
Yeah.
Oh, talk about that. You tell it.
It's the ending, which luckily they changed. After they win, she tells Lou, the manager, who's quitting. He's like, "I'm not going to work for you. You're sabotaging the team." She tells him that no, I really love the team. I never wanted to move them. I did this whole trick on you, ha ha ha, so that you guys would muster up the gumption to go out there and actually win it. And I think what Ward was trying to do when he wrote that was create a version where, he didn't want people to feel like there had to be this bad guy or something. People hated it in test screenings.
Big surprise.
Yeah, I know. It's a horrible idea. People absolutely hated it. They spend so much of this movie not liking this woman that when you pull this twist on them, they're like, are you serious? Come on.
Yeah, there has to be a Cruella. When you're going to pitch her as Cruella, she's got to stay Cruella.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly.
And
can you imagine that in 101 Dalmatians, Cruella? I was really just tricking you guys.
Yeah.
I just wanted to stay home. I was remodeling your house this whole time.
I love puppies. I'm a puppy fanatic.
Yeah.
I, especially after they so disrespected her with the stripper cardboard cutout scene, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
It's just once you go down that road, it's really hard to it's a kind of a dirty trick to give that alternate ending. Have you seen it? Have you seen the alternate ending?
I don't think it's available.
It's on the Wild Thing edition.
Well, it's not on the Wild Thing edition that I watched.
Well,
but
I think
maybe
it's on the Wild Thing edition Volume 2, only for people not named Andy.
Oh man, us Andys in the world are feeling like we've been stabbed.
Blame your parents. They messed this up. This is on them.
I'm gonna go call my mother right now.
I'm glad they didn't mess that up. So that was the good Margaret Whitten. James Gannon as Lou Brown.
Margaret Whitten, do you know what I remember her from? I'll always remember her face.
Wait, don't tell me. I don't think I'm going to.
The Secret of My Success. She is Michael J. Fox's
aunt.
You remember her in that?
No, that's one of my very favorite movies.
That's a great
Do I remember her from that? Yes.
Yeah. She's just great.
Wow.
So.
That was a great great movie.
Yeah. The Evil Ant.
That movie is these are the formative movies. That one, there was the one, I can't even remember what it was called, but it was the one where the kid was he was the night cleaner in like a Target, and they locked him in, and he met what's her name on roller skates.
Yeah.
It was another kind of moving up the ladder thing. He had been lying to all of his friends, telling them that he got this great job and had to wear a suit.
Yep.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you're talking about. I can blanking on it though.
Come on.
And
I know who's going to get this? Sarmento. He's going to totally get this. He's going to post it in our Google Plus. He's mowing his lawn right now. And this is one of our listeners who's always posting responses to things when Andy and I get stuff stupid. In fact, my Google Plus just beeped. Steve Sarmento mentioned you in a post. He may be doing that. We're not even live, and he could already be answering this.
That's right.
All right. What was that movie where he's locked in the thing? I'm going to go find it. And we're going to add that to the list because clearly it's worth talking about. Okay. What else do you have on this movie? I feel like so there was Margaret Whitten. We had, I wanted to talk about
career opportunities.
James Gammon and...
career opportunities. I'm telling you, career opportunities.
That was totally it. That was totally it.
Yes. I Googled
how did
movie where a guy is locked in a store.
You know why I would have found that is because that Jennifer Connelly. She is something.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. You know who wrote that movie?
I do. And that's actually another reason we should have known it, because we should do a whole thing on him too. John Hughes. We should. Okay.
So the Indians. So this movie, Ward wrote this film because as a lifetime Indians fan, he felt that the only way he was going to ever see them win a World Series is if he made a movie about it. Which is great because they hadn't won a World Series since, what was it, like 59, I think?
Wow.
Something like that.
That's the diehard pennant.
And so it was a long, long run. And that's why they called it the 30-year slump. It was this long period. And after this movie came out, then, of course, they went to the World Series twice. 54 is when it was. So 95 is when they won.
Yeah. Yeah. It was that was 6 years later. 6 years later, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is 89.
This was 89, April 89. Yep.
Yeah. So you think it was because of the movie?
Oh, of course. Totally was.
Interested. I'm interested in that connection.
I'm sure it's all attributed to David Ward.
Yeah. Guy's got a lot of weight on his shoulders. That's the truth.
Yes, I know. He invents the singing when the relief pitcher comes out. He creates.
David Ward invents the wave.
He invents the wave.
Yeah,
and he gets the Indians to the World Series twice.
And he was Ken Burns' father. She didn't know that. Different names. But it was all he's the foster love parent of baseball's favorite documentary son. I've derailed.
You're out there.
Totally
man.
derailed.
You're out there. So last week I mentioned that my great uncle.
Tell us more about this.
Was played for the Indians.
Eustace Nelson.
Eustace.
Right?
Wamscons, Bill Wamscons.
Bill Wamscons.
So you were like, wow, I'm just totally blanking right now. So he caught he did the triple play, right?
How do you spell Wamscons?
Wambsgans. He played for the Indians 1914 to 1923. Then he joined the Red Sox and ended his career with the Athletics.
Yeah.
So this was the historic World Series triple play. I'm just going to read this to you straight off Wikipedia.
Please do.
So that I can so it makes more sense than me trying to reword it. In the fifth inning of Game 5 of the 1920 World Series played at League Park, Wambsgans caught a line drive batted by Clarence Mitchell, stepped on second base to retire Peter Kilduff, and tagged Otto Miller coming from first base to complete the first unassisted triple play in World Series history. Earlier in the game, Wambsgans' teammate Elmer Smith hit the first grand slam in World Series history off Brooklyn Robins pitcher Burley Grimes in the first inning with none out. The historic blast scored Charlie Jameson, Wambsgans, Tris Speaker, and Smith. Brooklyn fell to the Indians in an 8-1 loss. Cleveland winning pitcher Jim Bagby also helped himself by hitting a three-run home run in the third. It was first home run hit by a pitcher in modern World Series history. So I obviously went a little longer, but so that's what he did. So it's pretty exciting.
That is exciting, and I love the picture of him. I can totally, I see you in that outfit.
I could play him in the movie.
With the baseball jodhpurs.
They do look like jodhpurs.
They do look like jodhpurs. Those were the days. Those were the days, my friend. Do we have anything else to talk about with this great film? Do you have any other notes?
I don't. I think.
Oh! I do have something I wanted to say. I'm sorry. You first. Go.
No, I said I don't.
Oh. What I wanted to say was we were talking about whether or not the film was dated.
Oh yeah. You said I'm gonna go into that more.
We did. We had there was a thing about that, and I need to bring up my own notes. The trick with this. So James Newton Howard did the score.
Yes.
Right. So we like that.
Yeah, I love James Newton Howard.
We do. We love James Newton Howard.
He did the music for The Last Airbender.
But he did not do the soundtrack.
No.
This is my theory. And I know there are still movies that sort of separate the soundtrack and the score. But what I'm noticing is that these movies that we talk about that actually have a separate soundtrack and a separate score end up coming off as dated sooner.
That's an interesting theory that could pose true. And I think a lot of that is particularly because if a soundtrack doesn't have enough songs to fill an album, they're still going to want to push more songs onto that to create an album to get out there. So they get all these artists to create songs that were inspired by,
right.
Yeah, and that's when you get really, really abysmal soundtracks.
There is a great I think there are some other great examples of this, and I think when the scores go south is when they start shoehorning, the pop tunes on top of them, and there's always that pop tune that they put in the credits right at the end of these movies, and I think Robin Hood is one of the Costner Robin Hood is one of the great examples where the score was, I thought, terrific, and has some really memorable themes, and then they have that stupid. Everything I do. No, or was that the one?
Yeah,
I do it for you. Terrible. Terrible. But they wear that badge with shame, my friend.
Well, but as you're right, but as a theme, when that song is played as the love theme in the film, it works great. It's a great song.
The theme, you're right. The theme works. The pop version of it does not. Yeah. And that actually now makes it seem dated. Luckily, the pop version was not actually played in the, Robin in the actual film. But these films where, and there are others. What was the Rob Lowe movie with Demi Moore that I loved so much at the time? It was based on sexual perversity in Chicago by David Mamet. About last night. That is one that totally does not stand the test of time. Not because of Demi Moore's hair, which is dated. Yeah. Not because of the fashion, because leg warmers are dated, but because of the soundtrack, which is totally dated. Music dates itself before film, I think, which is crazy.
It does. You're right, and it's a tricky balance though, especially in a film where so much of it takes place in a bar, like About Last Night, or in
where
that
you have
lifestyle.
to have exactly.
Yeah,
where
you have to have it.
music.
It has to fit in. The only solution I think for that is to create it where it's like either a mix of a wide variety of music,
or
it's or it's period.
Yeah. Or your protagonist only listens to Rush.
Yeah.
If you date the music intentionally, but Beverly Hills Cop does not hold up as well because of songs like The Heat Is On.
When the Pointer Sisters kick in, you're like,
It just doesn't do it. So that's my theory. I think we need to start some sort of a list with a catchy name.
The list of films with bad soundtracks and particularly awful pop songs based on great scores. How's that for a title?
We're going to need to work the acronym out of that. It may take some massaging. It's going to take some massaging, but we can do it. That's all I had. That was my whole theory, and now I think we've wasted a lot of time. Great movie. Much funnier. Actually, I said in the beginning it was a movie that is a comedy that didn't quite remember it was a comedy the whole way through. It's a movie that has more heart than you expect, and I quite enjoyed watching it again more critically. Thanks for making me do it.
Yeah, it's nice to look at it again. It's a fun film to rewatch and revisit, and it brings you back to those times with bad soundtracks.
Those were the days.
Those were the days. Well, say goodnight to my wife and your kids. Yes, I got it in there.
Up your butt, Jobu. Here at The Next Reel, we've been passionately discussing movies week after week since 2011. That's a lot of movies and a lot of conversation.
Sure is, Pete, and to be honest, it's a lot of work too, but it's work that we love. If you have been enjoying our show, we'd like to remind you that there are ways to support us even if you're not able to become a member just yet. You might have heard us talk about our new watch page where we've listed every movie that we've talked about paired with Amazon or Apple links to rent or buy the movie.
Now we'd like to introduce you to our originals page. Let's take a trip down memory lane, Andy. Do you remember what the first film we discussed on The Next Reel was that was an adaptation?
Well, let's see. It wasn't obviously our Indiana Jones series because those were all original. Then we did Charlie Kaufman. Oh, of course. It was adaptation from Susan Orlean's Orchid Thief.
Exactly. We have covered quite a few adaptations over the years, and now we're providing a way for our listeners to delve into the original source material.
That's right. Just head over to thenextreel.com/originals, and you can see the list of all the adaptations that we have discussed.
From our David Fincher series, featuring The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, The Social Network, Zodiac, Benjamin Button, and Fight Club.
To our Paranoia trilogy with The Parallax View and All the President's Men, we have covered a variety of adaptations.
Those were some great discussions, especially Fight Club. And let's not forget our baseball series with The Natural and Field of Dreams, adapted from Shoeless Joe.
And Up in the Air and Thank You for Smoking. So many memorable conversations.
Absolutely. And you know what's exciting? Each purchase you make through our links doesn't cost you any extra, but a percentage goes to support The Next Reel and our family of shows.
You can support us while diving deeper into these fantastic stories, whether it's the paper, audiobook, or Kindle version.
We've also included plays and movies. If they were the source, we've put it on there.
So what are you waiting for? Head to thenextreel.com/originals, support The Next Reel, and get your next great read today.
I'm off to reread Fight Club. Now, where did I put my Kindle?